welcome to the next episode of ReFUEL Marriage and Singles. I'm telling you, we are having a time. If you have not seen the previous episodes, you need to go back and you need to watch them. I feel some chains falling off. I feel people's thinking. How many can agree that some of our thinking needs to change when it comes to relationships?
Amen.
You can't keep drawing and attracting the wrong people and not know that some thinking needs to change.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Because people respond to, the bait you're putting out, or not so much the bait, but the vibe. You know what I mean? They're responding to something. You know what I'm saying? So I praise God that thinking is being changed. Amen. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Amen. Let's give the Lord a praise. Amen. When a single man or woman first get married, why would some of their boundaries with old friends of the opposite sex cause problems in their marriage? Joe.
I think it's because, when you're single, I think we might have talked about this earlier, you kind of have more connections with people and you're freer, so to speak, to talk to other people. But when you're in a marriage, like, again, talking about boundaries, like we said this before, certain people shouldn't have access to you. And I think, people that are single don't know how to, they're not married. And so they might have a mindset and they might have ideas of what they think it should be. And they really don't know, and they might want to interject and give their thoughts and their opinions. And bro, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never been married. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really consider that part because it could cause some problems.
Okay, so question then. How do we deal with it? Because, I was single. First I was single and I had friends and, male and females and had people that were closer to me than others. But now I'm married, so how do I deal with those situations?
What do you think?
For us, I think, me coming into marriage, I would say that I'm more of a relaxed person and I have a hard time setting boundaries because in my mind, I tend to think things are not a big deal. I let things go a lot. I'm kind of go with the flow. And I learned over time, no, that's wrong. You're setting yourself up for failure. And so sometimes I have to get help from married friends, girlfriends that I talk to them like, should I set a boundary here? Like, is this too much? Is this not enough? And I literally have conversations with girlfriends that are married, like, no, that's right. You should set a boundary. That's okay. Your way of thinking. Cause sometimes I don't know like what's too much. I always am too lax in my boundaries. So, I think just like Joe was saying, it sets you up for, success if you have those boundaries. And I think if you have friends of the opposite sex as a single person and now you're married, you can't have those friendships in the same way that you used to. There's a shift now. You're not the same person. You're not by yourself anymore. It's not just you that you have to think about. So I think that you have to discuss between you and your partner what your boundary is, what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with. Some people don't like their husbands or wives to have people of the opposite numbers in their phone or text with the opposite sex. Some people are okay with that. Some people know they have certain struggles. So you have to figure out what do I struggle with naturally and where do I need boundaries? Maybe you need to say, hey, husband, wife, I struggle with this. I think that I'm being accountable to you. We need to set up a boundary to protect me, to protect you. I think communication is very important in that. And whatever you two decide what it is, if your friend doesn't want to be your friend anymore because you have certain boundaries, and that's what it is. I'm married now. This person comes first. So I think that's something you have to discuss. Mm-hmm.
I like that, but I have a question because like sometime like if you have a small, let's say you're a single parent and you have a small child, that small child may sleep in the bed with she may sleep in the bed with her mom, or you know what I mean. There was a guy, he was a part of the youth department, and his dad would come pick him up. He wasn't living with his dad, but he would spend like every other weekend or something like that. And so he said my dad would come pick me up, and I run outside, I jump in the front seat, and the first thing my dad says to me is, "Where you want to go eat?" He looking forward to him coming because he said, "I want to go to Del Taco," and he said, but then his dad got married, and he said, I'm like, "Man, what's wrong?" He was like, "Man, you know my dad got married, right?" He was like, "Man, he came to pick me up, and I run out there. I go to the passenger side, and she's sitting there." Then he says, "I got to get in the back." So the first problem is I feel demoted. He didn't use those words, but I understood it. I feel like I'm less than now. And then as soon as I got in the car, he said, he turned to her and said, "Baby, where you want to eat?" and so he said, I said, "Del Taco." He said, "She don't like Del Taco. Baby, what you have a taste for?" And he was like, "This is just not working for me." You know what I mean? So I'm using that example to say that your position changes, it shifts. So you have friends of really, even if they're not of the opposite sex, but you have friends that they feel they're adults, but they still feel, and they be trying to make it remain the same. They don't want it to shift. You know what I mean? So how do you deal? I said that to say, so how do you deal? It's one thing when the husband and wife discuss it, but how do you address it with the friend? Shanice.
Yeah, we had situations like that, and it was quite difficult for some of the friends to understand the relationship, and so it did cause problems in our marriage at the time, because they wanted to have the same type of relationship, and they didn't see that the shift changed. And my husband was single for quite a long time, and they got used to being able to call and talk for hours hours and hours with him, and have that type of relationship. And now that the marriage had started, he wasn't available like that. Well, he shouldn't be available that way. And there were a few of these women that had problems. They had problems, and it caused rifts between him and them, and it caused rifts between me and them, because they didn't get the message. They didn't see that things had changed. And it was unfortunate, and it took us a moment to kind of everything's good now. The relationships are all good now, but it took a moment for us to all figure it out and figure out how we were going to handle things. And it took a moment for me and my husband to really get back on track, because I was mad at him because he didn't see that these people needed to fall back. Yeah, now things are good. All the relationships are good. Matter of fact, we have invites out for them to come and have dinner and different things like that. But at the time, we went through.
And that's why we're just throwing questions out there, because the thing about it is that transition part is what I feel is hard. You know what I mean? It was like, sometimes I wouldn't want to say nothing, but it would like be a couple, I'd be like, every time my wife posts something, just same dude all up on her posts. You know what I mean? And I was like, I remember this joker from high school, but and she's like, "Oh, that's just so and so from high school." So I'll be wanting, in my mind, I'll be wanting to say, "Hey, have he ever asked you out?" You know what I mean? It's like I could pry with this thing a little, but it's like, aside from that kind of thing, it's just sometimes people, how do you demote, just like with the child? Because you don't look at it as you're demoting your child, but you know what I mean? The fact of the matter is, he not finna sit in the front right now. She's sitting in the front, and him getting in the back is a demotion. You know what I mean? So you got friends. It's like, how do you? I guess I'm trying to ask. Okay, Danielle, how do you walk somebody through? You can't have the same type of access to me now.
Oh, I tell them.
Talk to us.
Oh, I'm straightforward, even with my kids, and I have majority male friends, rather than female friends. And so, I let them know. Well, they already know, because if they get into a relationship and we're just friends, then I shift. I'm not going to call you like that. I'm going to text you, can you talk for a second or something like that, and have the same respect for me. And I'm automatically going to let you know you don't have that access to me. But I do a lot of business with males. And so that's something that my husband would need to adjust with and have that trust for me. If I'm with you, I'm with you. I have a lot of male friends, but it's going to be an adjustment on both ends, even with the friends, even with the kids. Like, my son doesn't want me to get married, but I let him know it's coming. You got to get used to it.
And I like how you said that, because you have to start prepping a small child. You can't
My
just...
son's 16. Yeah.
Baby, give us your thoughts about it.
Yeah, I was feeling that when you was talking about the children, because I know my boys, raising the two boys, they were like protectors. Don't even look at my mama. Who are you? Who's that, mama? They, oh my goodness, that in itself is a challenge, because nobody's good enough. That's some adjusting. And then when you finally get to the point, oh, okay, I think I like him. You can see it shifting. You see their personality, and you can't. I don't know. For me, Sister Danielle, I didn't straight just tell my son, no, this is how it's going to be. But they know their mama. You know what I mean? And certain things I don't even have to say. I'm just going to do my thing, and you fall in line. Or, go to your house. You grown. You got your own house. I got my own house, So you start seeing it shift. And, oh, I see. Yeah, it's right. I know that there was a conversation with my mom as I was getting ready. We were getting married. And there was some things like, well, why? Why does... And my mom, she's something else. She said, well, you want your mom to be happy, right? Your mom needs to be happy, But I don't understand why, we're fine. Why does mama gotta... And mama again, well, just wait, your mama needs somebody too, And so, but that can be a challenge.
Yes, the transition of...
I had boys, Well, girls are like that too. I did that with my mother. When she married again, my father passed away and she remarried. I was like, who is this? As a girl, I'm looking at, new husband, like, who is he? As they were dating. And I was like, Mama, I don't know about this. She said, oh, okay. And she just went off on her date. She didn't pay me no mind. But yeah, girls can do that too. Yeah, girls can do that too.
It's a real thing. I mean, I use the phrase walk them through, but you're really not walking them through, but it's just how you go about addressing it and explaining it. Because again, I had, when baby and I first started dating, I told her, I said, I got this homegirl. She is the homie. This is my sister. I said, we talk probably once a month. She don't even live in California. I said, we talk probably once a month. The conversation is usually, you will never guess what happened at church Sunday night. Pastor somebody did this and that, and pastor, we laugh about it or whatever. We're not going to talk again for another month. Now, her whole family lives in California. I know her whole entire family. She knows my family. You know what I mean? It's just, known each other for a while. When baby and I started dating, I told her about her. I was like, this is the homie, because I'm just assuming y'all gonna meet. You know what I mean? Y'all probably gonna become real cool, all of that kind of stuff. I don't exactly know how that part of the transition play out, because I know we say that a lot, and you always hear people say that they no longer your friend, they're our friend. But I don't really know how that plays out with people like being able to say, okay, now they're, I know maybe one person who will pull that off, but I'm just assuming like they're going to become like real cool. They probably going to hang out together and all that kind of stuff. So I'm telling her about her. Well, one day I'm driving down the street and my phone rings, but we're in technology. When we use landlines, these conversations went differently, but we're in technology and the dashboard lit up with this person's name, like all big. Now, even though I'm the only one in the car, I'm thinking, it made me think, I wonder how, I'm a newlywed now. I wonder how she would feel if she saw this woman's name take over her dashboard that she doesn't even know. She never even met. And the woman is single. Now, I've told her about her, but she never said one word about it. She was just like, okay, when I told her, and never even mentioned her again. But when that happened that day, I took that opportunity and I said, you know what? I said, you the homie. I said, but I'm married now. I don't really think it's cool for you to just call me whenever you feel like it. Because even though baby haven't said anything, she haven't had a situation. This was probably the first time she called since we got married. But this just don't feel right, because I flipped it around for a minute and I said, if we're rolling down the street or sitting in the house watching a movie and your phone light up and it say Jimmy, if I don't say nothing, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Pause the movie while Jimmy, sit here and say, hey, what you doing? You're like, I don't know how that plays out. Like, okay, I pause the movie, you know what I mean? Something, the phone ring, pause the movie. And usually if it's like one of our mothers or something, you pause it, right? So that's the protocol. So I paused the movie because her phone rang. And she like, hey, you. And it's going to feel all incognito. Hey, you. So how's it going? He like, hey, what's going on? What you doing? He just kicking it. He bored. So he just calling. So what I'm supposed to like wait until they finish chit-chat? This is going to be awkward. This is going to be weird. And even if I don't say anything, I'm going to be thinking, so, like, what kind of relationship did they really have? It's just, to me, it drives me right into neither give place to the devil. You know what I mean? It takes you to that scripture. It creates an opportunity for the enemy to plant the wrong kind of seeds in one another's mind. You know what I mean? This whole thing of these boundaries with the opposite sex. So, like, how is she supposed to handle that? Is she supposed to, like, how is she, who have we not hit?
Well, boundaries right there. I don't care if it's male, female, it doesn't matter. If you're sitting there watching a movie with your spouse, okay, this is your time. So if somebody calls, unless it's important, it's something that can't wait, you say, I'm watching a movie. I'll call you back. Now, I have a problem if you keep talking and we're sitting there watching a movie, because now, no, I'm serious, because this is our time together. So unless it's something important, call them back. Like, especially on a Friday night, this is our date night. So first of all, they need to know this Friday night, this is date night. So if it's not something that is major, I'll call you back. So it's even there. That's the place of boundaries, whether it's male or female. So you gotta establish some things where, even if we're riding in the car, same thing. If me and her is riding in the car, if it's something important to somebody you don't talk to that often, and you need to take it. But other than that, we riding together.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? So again, there's boundaries. If it's something that they need to discuss, I have no problem. I sit there and let them talk. But if it's something that they talking about who shot John, talk about who shot John later.
Okay.
I can say something, but it's actually on the flip side of that. I think when you set those boundaries, you place value and show your spouse that they're first in your life, and I think that's so important. Like, no matter, like, if it's the homie from 20 years ago or it's a new friend from last year, like, I want to show my wife, like, no matter how cool we are, if you're stepping outside of this boundary, I'm gonna let you know that she comes first over any friendship or any past or any history that we've ever had, and I feel like it makes your partner feel loved and appreciated and cared for and valued, and it just strengthens your marriage, because like, man, I understand that person was really close to her and she said, hey, we got to stop talking because my husband my relationship with my husband is more valuable than any other relationship, I think that helps your marriage so much more.
Okay, so I enjoyed that. I have a question or a thought. I've never, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where it would cause me to like be a jealous kind of person. You know what I mean? So that's never like been a thing with me. I guess if somebody was, mishandling me, I just wasn't aware of it. Because usually it's when is where it start creating issues, going forward. But I'm not aware of a situation. So that's never been one of my things. In fact, I usually tell people that sometimes a person can be jealous and that can come from within, and sometimes it can be jealous and it's the result of the behavior of the person or people they've been with. Well, all right, that being said, I like to when something happened, I like to flip it around and think, how would I feel if it was happening? Or, because we let ourselves off the hook sometime when we just think about what somebody did to us. And so I like to like reverse it. And so, I would think like, well, how would I feel? Now, this has never happened with us. Like, I'm just using this for example. I think, Danielle, I say, how would I feel if, you know what I mean? If it was, I don't know, I guess we'll just stick with Jimmy since that was the name I threw out there. You know what I mean? It's this dude, Jimmy, that, she been knowing for however many years and, they were friends or whatever. Whether they had been involved before or not, just doesn't even matter. Even though I'm not a jealous person, I'm like, what I'm processing is, do I have to share my space with? When I say my space, I don't mean our like Bitch was said. I don't mean like our special time together. I just mean really. I mean my life. Because I think the only man that I would give a pass to. I'm just trying to be a little real. This is how I feel. I don't mean that is right, but the only man that I think that I would give a pass to is if it was somebody that like the father, you know what I mean, somebody had a child before you got married and it's their father. You know what I mean? I would that kind of stuff. But I've heard people say things like, oh, it's not their father, but they're really close, so he'll probably always be around. I would be, in my mind, I was thinking, not if that was my house or my family. I'm just not giving a bunch of dudes access to my family like that, because once we get married, and I hope this don't sound chauvinistic, and I'm trying to say it the right way, but okay, like, Danielle, like you were saying, like I have friends and they're guys or whatever, and that's fine. Like, let's say you get married, it's like, I understand you have friends, but you ain't bringing 15 people into my life in the name of those are my friends. That like would be a problem to me in the sense of, now I shouldn't have just
No,
but what
not
I'm
like that. I don't have friends like that.
Yeah.
They're not those type of friends. Like I do a lot of business with a lot of males. So that's where communication, trust, and security comes in for me. And I'm, respectable enough I'm not going to just have like my homeboy, that relationship will change. Yeah. But my business relationship with a male friend, that's business. And then that's when the husband needs to know I'm going to communicate with you, communication, trust, and security.
And I like how you saying that. It's like it's communication that walks the process through there, because we're in a different time and people have different type of relationship dynamics, and people will bring a whole lot of unwanted other people, and you got to process, maybe my symmetrical thinking. I'm processing, should this person have a place in my life? Because if they have a place in her life, they have a place in mine. And so I'm processing, so maybe Jimmy's just somebody she know from high school. Jimmy is on I'm not saying she no longer know Jimmy, but Jimmy don't have, I can call you access. That's what I'm trying to, and so I'm putting me out there, I'm throwing myself under the bus. I'm saying Jimmy don't have, you can call me access, because Jimmy he don't have enough connection for that. You know what I mean? He's, okay, the boy's father. He not only can he call, he can come over. He's really a part of the extended family. You know what I mean? But just somebody that I knew, she don't have that kind of access. I don't feel like she has to share her life with Susie because Susie don't have any type of official connection like that. And so to me, that's, if we in the store and we see Susie, it's like, hey, I'm like, oh yeah, I introduce him or whatever. But Susie and I ain't just chopping it up because you don't have to share your life with Susie. Susie's not official.
That's not always the opposite sex either, though. Sometimes I remember early in our marriage, and your cousin brother would call like at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would get so uptight. I'm like, why did he think he could just call you anytime? What's wrong? I would really go off. And it took years, for me to, oh no, you couldn't tell me nothing different now. When cousin brother called me, hey, I'm in there too, But it depends on the relationship, and you get to know, I know better now. Even when Bishop Wayne will call, brothers, I'm getting out of the room. I like to see you interact with other people. I don't want to just be bottled up with you all the time. You got to have some other people, vice versa. I love you, but but that could be a problem, not just the same sex. Opposite sex.
And I hope I didn't make myself sound crazy. I was just trying to, at the end, I was just trying to force us into another train of thought. Of consideration. It's like, I think my mind works like that. I think about what type of access this person should have. You know what I mean? Joe's family, frankly, if you call me, I'm thinking something is wrong and I'm checking on you. You know what I mean? If Bishop call, I think something's wrong, I'm checking on him. You know what I mean? But it's certain people, you know what I mean? First of all, they're not going to have my phone number, but it's, you know what I mean? It's just people have different levels of access. Like what Danielle was saying, you taking care of business, that's like being at work. You know what I mean? You interact with everybody that's involved in the situation, but that's not that. There's just different levels of access. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm not sharing my life with everybody. You know what I mean? So I'll be looking at that, during the dating. I'm like, okay, how many people got to come with you? You know what I mean? In terms of that don't have an official reason to come with you. That's what I'm saying.
Like, why are they close like that? Why y'all got to be so close? Oh my goodness, you couldn't separate them.
No, because I've heard people talk like that. I told you I heard somebody say, and we're at the end right now, but I heard somebody say that they feel like that if they have a friend that was close to their child, like an ex that got close to their child. We were dating and I got real close with your son, but we didn't work out now. You with somebody else and y'all get married, but I'm still close to your son. So through that access, I remain in your life. Now I'm at his school events, I'm at this and I'm at that. I don't have that kind of access. Joe saying like you want to say.
No, I think it's funny.
I don't have that kind of access. It's like, dude, it didn't work. Go with God. It's like, you don't get to stick around in my life because y'all used to talk and now y'all don't know one another.
Portia, you don't know her, but when me and her mother was together, when I met her mother, she wasn't born. When we got together, she was a few weeks old. I am her father before her biological father. I know him too. But I've been in her life all her life. So, she calls me dad. I think she calls him by his name. So it's hard when you got a bond with somebody like that just to shut them off because your relationship didn't work out. You know what I'm saying?
In that situation, did you have to, like, in the conversations that took place with her mother and like with him, was all people like all parties in agreement of that kind of? Because that's kind of what I'm saying. If everybody's in agreement with it, then that's the decision.
Gotcha.
I'm just saying that with me, it would be different. So the bottom line to it is, it's through communication. whether it's you, your mate, whether it's other people involved that's maybe connected to the children. Through clear communication, you're able to make things work. I think Danielle was saying over several times that, you have to constantly communicate. If it's, with all parties involved, you can't, I may feel strongly about one thing, but that can change when I know that I'm in a situation with other reasonable people. Because sometimes, another person that's remaining attached has an ulterior motive. And if they're not trying to be reasonable, then, it make you feel differently. And so you have to talk out your boundaries when you get ready to get married. Because you know a lot of people as a single person, and some of them are going to remain as close as they were before, but others are going to have to, as somebody said, fall back. So let's give the Lord a praise. Look at your neighbor and say, fall back. No.